There are new demands for a federal investigation into the death of Eric Garner. This as the Department of Justice already conducts its own investigation into the shooting death of Michael Brown. And this same week, the DOJ released a report saying excessive force was prominent and went unpunished in the Cleveland Police Department. Let's bring in our legal guys. Avery Freeman, a civil rights attorney and law professor in Cleveland. Good to see you. And
Hi,
Richard
Frederica.
Herman, a New York criminal defense attorney and law professor, joining us from Las Vegas. Good to see you as well. So, Avery, you first. A lot happening in your backyard. You and a group of lawyers, in fact, meeting Thursday with the Attorney General and justice officials to talk about the Justice Department's probe and its report about the Cleveland Police Department, which comes right on the heels of the death of a 12-year-old Tamir Rice by a police officer. So what did the report say, and what impact do you believe it might have on these other ongoing cases, federal investigations involving, including Ferguson?
Yeah, it's 158 pages, Frederica, and it is riveting and devastating. It demonstrates how poorly police have been supervised, the inadequacy of training, the failure of community policing, a multitude of issues. But if there's any good news about that report by the Department of Justice, and it's going to impact Ferguson, it's going to impact New York City and other major departments, and that is that ultimately there's going to be a consent order, and it will identify the positive things that police officers can do to avoid the kind of things we see week after week, month after month. So while, yes, it hurts, it's important that justice jumped in under a 20-year-old law, and I think we're going to see some positive effects of what it's going to do in Cleveland, Frederica. It's also going to have a positive effect on other major police departments.
So, Richard, you're shaking your head. Is it, are you in agreement or disagreement that there are sightings that it may be a universal problem, that it's difficult across the country for police departments to police themselves, investigate themselves?
Well, it is difficult, Fred, and any time you ask a prosecutor to prosecute police officers who they stand side by side each week in court, and they are their voices in bringing prosecutions, it's very difficult. And what are you going to do? Hire a special prosecutor, engage a special prosecutor every time a police officer gets challenged? I don't think you can do that.
Not?
And I disagree
Why
with
not?
Avery.
Because it doesn't even seem as though that's used that much.
We're not equipped to do that, Fred. The system just does not work that way. And number two, I disagree with Avery. We do not see this week in and week out throughout the United States. We do not see it. And while this report looks great and it's going to be nice and fluff and everybody's going to say yes, 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 the bottom line is this. And the Garner situation in New York is highlighted. That situation will escalate that same way each and every time, Fred, because when they go to arrest someone, and if you don't like the laws, go to the legislature and change the laws. Once we hire police officers to enforce them, and they say you're under arrest, and you say, no, don't touch me, get away from me, it's going to be a problem for you.
Okay.
And these officers are going to do whatever they can do.
Avery, I hope you were taking notes, because you're shaking head a lot to just about everything that Richard said.
Well, I mean, think about this. Think about this. It's not that complicated if you have proper supervision and you what on earth do you generally permit chokeholds to occur? What on earth are you sending police officers into the community without body cams? What on earth are you having police officers involved in the streets without appropriate training? And I think who oversees it? A federal district judge will do it in Cleveland, and ultimately, unless things change, other federal courts are going to have to oversee police departments, and that shouldn't have to happen.
All right, Avery, Richard, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much to both of you gentlemen. Always
Fred,
good to see you.
So much to talk about.
I know. We have so much more.
I know there's
the body cams present a whole host of problems, Fred. A whole host of problems with the body cams, but maybe we can get into that next week.
I know. Well, you know, that problem is not resolved, so I'm sure we're going to have time to revisit that. Richard, Avery, thanks so much. Good to see you guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right.